Hello. It's been a year and a half since my last video, and lots of things have happened, and I would like to talk about childhood trauma, about things like the effects of these, like procrastination, perfectionism, addiction, codependency, anxiety, Molyneux as well, because I think that's what he is suffering from. But yesterday I was really surprised and pleased when I woke up, because something happened. I remembered that I had left a review on eBay for a thumb drive that I bought a few weeks ago, and I suspected that, oh, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe the review I left for this thing, where I said that yeah, it works, but it's kind of slow. Maybe that was because by inadvertence I had plugged it into a slow USB port on my computer instead of the normal ones. And what surprised me was that usually when I think that I've made a mistake like this, I get this reaction, like my blood flushes down into my core, as if I think it's to instinctive reaction. When you expect that you're going to receive a major wound, the blood leaves the periphery so that you can keep your blood. So I didn't get that reaction, and that really surprised me. And I realized that I've been used to getting this reaction all my life, and so it was really noticeable when it didn't happen. And I was very pleased, because this gave me another piece of reassurance, of evidence to show that I'm justified in thinking that I have made a lot of progress in healing my childhood trauma. I guess I need to give some backstory, so to make this clearer. Yeah, at the time of my previous video, I was aware that I had some childhood issues to heal. The way it was manifesting was that in conversations with many people, but especially with the woman that I've been in love with for a few years now, I would just suddenly lose presence. I would just I see now that it was this reaction, but I wasn't aware of it. So I would just the fight, flight, freeze reaction. I would freeze, I guess, and my mind would become disconnected from my body sensations, my feelings, and I would be only able to continue speaking very intellectually, but without any feelings. And this was really frustrating for my friend, this woman, and this was, one of the major things that was keeping her away from me. So I was very motivated to figure out, what was going on and stop that. So she encouraged me to get therapy for that, which I started right around the time of that video. and that helped, but something happened a few weeks after that. She asked me to go and visit. Something had happened there, um, and she lives far away. And so I agreed. I went there, and I spent a few days, and I came back just utterly baffled, because I just could not make sense of what was going on with her, and with good cause, because I was so um, triggered, getting this fear reaction so often that I had just no clue what she was going through, what she needed my support with, and so yeah, that was a disaster. And I came back here, and after a couple of weeks, I started believing that she would never talk to me ever again, and I was really heartbroken. But I'm really grateful that this happened, because this is what got me to realize um, that I have this fear. Um, I didn't know at the time what it was coming from, but it certainly made it impossible for me to ignore it any longer. So on top of being heartbroken, on top of finding myself with this fear, which was manifesting as anxiety, I was anxious. Like it would get to 8 or 9 out of 10, especially in the mornings, and I just I was depressed. I saw no point to getting out of bed even, because I was looking back at the previous 10 years of my life, and blaming myself for not having become aware of these problems in me sooner, and done something to fix them, because I saw how that had prevented me from achieving lots of things that I want to achieve in my life. It's prevented me from working with as a team, cooperating with people for work, because I was so afraid of making mistakes, even trivial mistakes that I guess many people would barely notice. For me, it provoked this very, very strong fear, and I wasn't aware of it, but I just lost pretty much the capacity to interact with people while staying calm. Usually what would happen was I would blame other people for what was going wrong. I thought they had done something wrong, and yeah, that I was just a horrible co-worker. So I ended up working alone, which I guess suited me, but still I regret that I missed out on the experience of really cooperating and working together with other people. That must be really nice. But yeah, when my ex-wife left, that was back in 2010, I had a sort of a similar depression, but at the time I found NonViolent Communication, which helped me to see that maybe this blaming either myself or other people wasn't really productive, and I could learn to think and express myself by taking more responsibility and learning to pay attention to my feelings. And so all of that helped, but it hadn't really done anything for the core issues that I've identified since past year and a half. So now I was aware that I had these issues. I had terrible guilt and shame, because I was blaming myself not only for losing this woman, but also for not earning enough money to live on the way I would like to be able to, for not being able to pay for things for my children as much as I want, for having waited so long. I mean, all of these things. And yeah, it was. I see now that I also had a lot of anger that I didn't fully recognize, and it came out as impulses to hurt myself. I was so angry with myself that I wanted to punish myself, and I got scared, because many times I thought I was close to really harming myself, and it even happened. That was maybe after 3 weeks, something like this, 2, 3 weeks. I was in the garden. There was one of the gate posts, large concrete post, like 300-400 kilos. Had been laying on the ground for a few years, and I wanted to sell the house, so I needed to put it back up, and so I started doing that with ropes and a couple car jacks and a few logs. And I was so anxious I wasn't able to focus on what I was doing, and one of the jacks slipped and the thing fell, and I wasn't able to remove my hand quickly enough, and the end of my thumb, yeah, it looks okay now, but it's not like the other one. Got caught and just got smashed. Luckily, the bone didn't break, and had a. Anyway, so that really scared me when I saw that. I did that to myself, even though it was sort of an accident. It was from too much stress, not paying attention. Well, because of the stress. Well, actually, that provided some relief from the self-harm impulses, because having this thing to heal really countered those impulses, because here I was trying to get this thing to heal, so I was changing the dressings, etc. And at the same time, it also brought some relief from the anxiety, because I had less pressure to find some way to earn money, because now I had this handicap for a couple months until I could do some kind of work again with both hands. And so that gave me a little respite, but I was still it was 150 days until I stopped having those impulses. I stopped being so anxious, 8 out of 10 often, and the shame was terrible also. So I really spent a horrible winter. But I was lucky that a friend whom I hadn't spoken with for a couple years just contacted me during autumn, and He was very supportive, so that gave me hope. Also, the therapist I was having sessions with online was very supportive as well. But even that wasn't really enough. Um, yeah, my family, they were supportive too, but they didn't really know how to help me find relief. I went to a couple of psychiatrists and psychotherapists around here, the county services, because with this fear of making mistakes, being really terrified of it, I was also afraid of spending money on anything unless it was absolutely necessary. Um, and that made it difficult to spend money on myself for things like a second therapist. So this friend eventually introduced me to another friend of his, a woman who was trying to figure out how to help somebody who had anxiety very similar to mine. And so she accepted to communicate with me via text messages and also talking online pretty much every day for I think 6 months, something like this, 8 months maybe. And after 2 weeks of that, I was out of danger, and I could begin to calm down. My anxiety was contained to it didn't really reach beyond 6 or 7 out of 10 anymore, and that was really helpful. Little by little, being able to say things that I had been too scared to really tell anyone, uh, and seeing that I wasn't rejected because I was saying these things. This really opened the way for me to accept myself, because I was really I see now that I had this belief from early childhood that I'm worthless, and I see that this comes from I think how my mom, when I was very very young, um, I didn't get from her the attention and the affection that I needed. We did a role play with this friend who she was playing my mother, and I remember I was like maybe 3 or 4 months old in the role play, and I was suckling, and I was looking up at my mom's face, and she was looking somewhere else, and I was feeling so much distress because I needed to know that I was important, that she wasn't going to abandon me, because a baby a baby alone is just going to die. And I think that was my survival instinct who pushed me to try to get attention from my mom. And not having had enough of that, probably um, in order to not, well, two things. First, to not get so scared, that I was going to get abandoned. I guess I latched onto the explanation that, okay, my mom's all right. She's a good mom. She's going to protect me. The reason she's not paying attention to me is because I'm bad. I must be, flawed or worthless, something like that. So that probably helped me, yeah, feel less anxious. And also, it pushed me to, work extra hard to win my mom's attention. I suppose, this belief. Um, so that was one thing that was making me really, really scared of saying, anything about my feelings, or even being aware of them myself. I was always pretending to be somebody else. I see that we reach 20 minutes. So I'm going to do a part 2. Plus it's getting dark. So thank you, and next in the next part.